Good afternoon. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting of the City Historic District Commission of Tuesday, July 15th to order. Yep, that's not the one I hit. Okay. First of all, can I have a roll call?
Katie? Present. Christy?
Present.
Dana?
Present.
James?
Present.
And can I have a motion to excuse Dan?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. All right. Would you read the disclaimer? Not disclaimer.
Certainly. Just gotta find it. Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Code of Ordinance states that historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo and shall otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic Districts Act, MCLA 399201, and 1970 PA 169 as amended in 1992. B, to regulate work on resources which, by city ordinance, are historic or non-historic resources located within local historic districts, including, but not limited to, the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding the responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district. MCLA 399201, 1970 PA 169, as amended in 1992, which is the Michigan Local Historic Districts Act, the Code of Ordinances of the City of Kalamazoo, specifically Chapter 16, which deals with historic districts, the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, 1990, Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts, and maps of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the City of Kalamazoo website at www.kalamazoocity.org/historic preservation.
Thank you. I understand the minutes that were distributed were not the June minutes.
Nope.
So we'll take that out of the agenda.
Yep, and we can just look at them next month for both.
Okay, and then are there any other changes to the agenda?
Just one that I would propose, if we could move number 422 Stewart to be the first. The representative has a prior engagement that he would like to make it to as soon as possible.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Are there any anybody here to make a public comment on something other than an item on the agenda? I see no hands. Okay. So we will proceed with first 422 Stewart request. You want to come up, state your name and your relationship to the application.
So I'm Arnie Block with Block Builders, contractor for Emily and Tristan Wilson at 422 Stewart Ave.
Thank you.
So I think you guys have seen the application. Thanks for taking the time to hear this tonight. Pretty straightforward. There's an existing gable window on the house, on the road side of the house. It's on a third-story window. It's currently not a historic window. It's an aluminum pocket insert, and we're proposing to replace it with a Pella Lifestyles, which is an aluminum-clad window. All other parts of the exterior will be original, so we'll either replace with cedar trim, the existing cedar trim, or new cedar trim as needed. The window itself and the exterior trim will be painted to match existing finishes. The reason we're asking for the aluminum window is just for maintenance long-term, and it's the only window we can get in that configuration that would allow maximum egress for that is a bedroom. So allow the egress dimensions. So I guess, yeah, there you can see a picture of the window and or a picture of the window and the screen there, and it's circled. As far as the interior is concerned, I don't think that concerns you guys, but it'll be replaced as existing. So we're not changing the overall size of the opening. We're just simply replacing the window with a new Pella Lifestyles aluminum clad window. So.
Thank you. Discussion, questions?
I had two quick questions.
Sure.
What's the reason for the replacement of the window?
So there's actually two reasons. That window, the one sash is broken. In other words, it's jammed open, so it's no longer functional, and it does not allow a lot of ventilation, so for a bedroom.
And the current window is aluminum, is that correct?
Yes, it's an
Okay.
aluminum pocket insert window.
Thank you.
I see all the materials that you've provided, and thank you for being thorough. Can you speak to how visually it would look similar or different to what's there now?
So visually, it would be a single awning pane with one vertical divider in the middle. I think that would have been more similar to what would have been there originally. It'll match the windows below it where they have a center maul, a vertical center maul. So it's a single sash, but it has one vertical SDL bar.
Thank you.
The current window is non-historic. Was there a window there originally? Do we know?
From what I can tell, yeah, it looks like it quite a bit to me. It's a very high-style example of like a Queen Anne house, so they would have avoided having any flat surfaces in any capacity that they could on any plane of the property. And I guess too, and not to belabor the point, but you're really lucky to find old pictures of some of these houses, frankly. I think there's a handful in the city of Kalamazoo that were very prominent, or you were wealthy enough that you could hire someone to come take your family portrait on the steps of the house, and then you get a picture of the house. But otherwise, if you weren't getting captured in those ways, it can be hard. So, I'm just making an educated guess, I guess, saying guess a lot, but that they would have had something in that front gable.
And just to confirm, the proposed window is the same dimensions as the existing opening?
Correct. Yep.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with Secretary of the Interior Standards 2, 6, 9, and 10.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you. Okay, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Katie? Yes. Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Awesome. So the motion carried and it passed. I'll be in touch with you guys by the end of the week, but I can try to reach out tomorrow. I probably will get the paperwork over by the end of the week. I'm not sure if they'll need a building permit just to put a window back in the same size. Okay. I don't think that you guys will need a building permit then either. So we'll be in touch, and you guys we'll determine when you can get moving with the project and stuff. So
Okay.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
very
for
much
coming
for your
in.
time.
Okay, now proceeding with the agenda, 215 East Michigan. Do we have somebody to speak on this one?
Sure.
Could you state your
You
name?
get me twice tonight. How about
Okay,
that?
all right.
I do just want to make and I forgot to say it before the first one, I apologize. We only have quorum this
Yeah,
evening, so
that's
you do
true.
need a unanimous vote to get it through. And I just wanted to let everyone know that. So if you want to elect to postpone, you can. These are, when I put together this packet, this is very light compared to last month. We had a much heavier docket last month, but just wanted to let you know that so you can proceed accordingly. You can also choose to do so after you hear the discussion if you'd like to try to
So
postpone.
you wore them out last month and they couldn't make it. So I think for this one, I think it's not very controversial. So I feel pretty comfortable with moving forward with this.
Could you state your name?
Introduce myself.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
I am the sign guy. My name is Steve Vandersloot, and I'm with Sign Art.
Okay.
I've been a specialty sign contractor for TraStar for 26 years. They're a fantastic organization. This is their most recent location that they've performed a remodel in the upstairs portion that they will occupy, and I'm sure at some point probably move on to another space. But this is their home now, and this is their headquarters. You may remember that it was probably about 10 years ago they moved from Portage to downtown Kalamazoo and immediately into the Main Street East building in various places. So they have that foyer entrance there, and immediately as you walk in there are stairs to reach their second floor. So that is the only form of identification for them to let people know where they are and where they conduct business. It's very traditional in form. It illuminates very similar to the Main Street East projecting sign that is just down on the corner of that block. It is internally illuminated, but the background is opaque. We kept the white background primarily so that their corporate colors could remain with the red and the gold. If you have any technical questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. But from what I understand from a zoning standpoint, it does meet all the criteria of the sign ordinance, and certainly meets the preferred placement of being right on the upper level of the first floor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Don't go yet.
Sure.
So I have a question because one of our charges is to ensure that additions or attachments to buildings do not destroy historic materials. So could you talk technically a little bit about how it's going to be attached to the building?
Yeah, no, it's actually projecting signs are no joke. We're certainly concerned with installing signs in a safe manner, and so that's always our number one priority. So we did take a look at the structure of the building itself, and it is brick over block, concrete block in that area. There is red iron there above that entrance that supports that brick and block. And the beautiful thing about that is we have all kinds of flexibility so that when we do fasten to the sign to the building, it's a through bolt situation, but it allows us to pass through mortar joints so we don't have to damage the brick in the process. As you know, when you drill into brick, it doesn't necessarily give you a nice clean hole. Oftentimes it pops, and then you have these big voids that there's no way to repair other than typically to take out and replace, which is a lot of fun, to say the least. So, no, mounting has been accommodated for and thought through.
Thank you.
For the illumination, I'm drawing a blank on the word I'm looking for. Will it be illuminated directly from where it's projecting, or will you have to have any like metal casings? You know what am I asking? What's the word I'm looking for here?
This is internal.
Conduit, thank you.
Yeah, no, this is internal.
Okay.
So there'll be no indirect lighting. There will be no glare concerns. It'll be a pretty soft light for the most part. The wiring for that is all concealed, and again exits through the face of the brick or into the building from the face of the brick. So there will be no conduit exposed.
And just in case folks are having a lapse of memory on this one, because I certainly did when it came in, we just looked at this building in like 20.
That's right.
This was Barrio
Yeah.
Tacos.
For Barrio. It's a non-contributing structure. This building was built like rather recently. I think Nelson Nave worked on this project. The building that was there before was, I think, super cool, mid-century modern bank, and then that got refaced to look more historic. It's just another example of we might not have had the distance yet from mid-century modern to realize that was going to become a gem down the line, and we wanted to make it look more historic, so they reverted it to give it the feeling so it blended in with the rest of the buildings that are on this strip.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards 9 and 10.
Thank you, Katie.
I'll second that.
Thank you, James. Can I have a roll call, please?
Katie? Yes. Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Awesome. So that one carried for you guys, and I'll be in touch with you guys by the end of the week.
Okay, moving on. Oh, another sign, 402 East Michigan.
Hi.
Well, hello. You look strangely familiar.
So I think let's start with some discussion. I guess if there are concerns with the nature of the sign, and let me tell you how it started. It started with what happens oftentimes is a rebrand. Kalamazoo Community Foundation, who might have Stanley Steps with me this afternoon, it's usually evening, we just went through an extensive rebrand. And the cherry on top oftentimes is when I come in, is when they look at their exterior branding and some of the branding even within the building. And if you haven't been in this building, I dare say you should take a tour, because it is, compared to my time, as I shared with Stanley in our first meeting, it was where I hung out in college on Thursday nights. So it has really come full circle to this really amazing blend of the historic nature of the building itself, and then the contemporary design, the add-ons that have happened, taken place with that building. And it's never more evident than when you walk through it or walk past the building. So it's a wonderful complement to each other. And this sign itself that we're proposing for you to review is really an extension of that. It's hard to express these on paper, right? It's hard to understand the materials, what the lighting looks like we just have with the last issue. You know, where did the inspiration come from? The first sign that's there now, if you've seen it, kind of looks like a tombstone. And that inspiration was by a gentleman by Mr. Tom Vance, who at the time was the liaison for the community coordinating. I believe that was public relations is what they called that then. It was meant to mimic the face of the building, the half-moon face of the building. On paper, it looked great. In all actuality, didn't really look so hot. The current brand doesn't really work with that look. So the idea is to come up with something that's a little more modern, contemporary, with a flair to it, with adding the digital. So the digital inspiration actually came from the signs that are just a few hundred feet from us here in Bronson Park. Mm-hmm. This is essentially a larger version of it, not much larger. To scale in the picture, it looks gigantic, but for something oriented towards automobiles, traffic, reading distance, it's actually pretty miniature. I mean, the height of the beginning of the digital is really about kneecap level, so it's fairly low. The intent of the digital is that contemporary piece. It's communicating to people visually. It's communicating to people in a manner that is timely and very efficient. And it's what the current generation, future generations, obviously love to be communicated by. And this is an extension of all of their reaching media that they have a very, they have a person that I believe digital media is his title for that matter. So it's a very important piece to their mission. Physically, the sign itself is very similar to the sign we just looked at. Only the lettering illuminates on the dark blue portion. It also, the digital is a very advanced technologically, something I would refer to as being able to dial in terms of brightness levels. I don't think that anybody has complained about the brightness levels of the signs in the park. They are far greater on the dim down level than you would ever have, say, at maximum level in terms of intensity. That's on purpose. It was never intended to be attention getting. It's to deliver messages, not to sell retail. Say hello, here am I. It's the cherry on top that I just alluded to. So from a zoning standpoint, I worked very closely with Mr. Eldridge. It does meet the criteria of the ordinance. It's actually less in height than what's allowed. Again, the idea is for it to complement. Any questions that I can answer for you in terms of the digital, if that's the concern here, or if you feel that there's a concern? It's a bit of a, there are so many instances of people that do it so poorly that it gives it a bad name. There are some that do an excellent job. They have very specific programs in place. I've got multi-location accounts that, again, they have a person that specializes in this medium, and they understand offensive is poor. They want the digital to reflect to the level of quality and the service that they provide. This is no different, but there are less expensive versions out there, far less expensive versions, probably 25% of the cost of, say, like the version that Kalamazoo Community Foundation wants to go with. And as a result, you get a display that isn't overly bright, doesn't create glare, and you have an owner that's going to be sensical to the design intent. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I actually have a quick question, and this might be better for Mr. Steps. I'm not quite sure. The design right now in the middle of the digital, do you all plan on changing that for certain events or fundraising initiatives and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. And then I have, my second question is, it says one sign in the application, and then in the diagram, there's two signs pointed out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a directional sign. It's a
Okay.
sign that basically says this is the entrance.
Oh, okay.
Because it's separated by 150 feet roughly
Okay.
from the sign itself.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Okay, great.
So will this, one question first. This rendering here, is this the side of the sign and the front of the sign? Is that what we're looking at?
Right.
Okay.
And the sign would be it's currently kind of at a diagonal, but we're anticipating the two-way traffic, which we know is imminent, it sounds like, for Michigan Avenue. So it's going to be perpendicular to Michigan Avenue in the same, darn close to the same position that is now.
So this one, just for total clarity, will go on your map where it says sign 1 and then sign 2 at the south end on Pitcher Street will be a directional sign.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
sorry.
No, that's okay, thank you.
So the other component to the digital is that the City of Kalamazoo sign ordinance does limit the transitions, how often they take place, and the form of the transition, right? So it can't, again, turn into a Las Vegas obnoxious blinking situation.
Blinking lights.
The other thing that and again, the software allows you to adjust all those things. So if signs are doing that, that's intentional. The other thing that the City of Kalamazoo does have is a lighting ordinance and a means by which to measure the impact of a sign of any nature, for that fact, on other properties. And those are typically measured at the property line or at the neighbor's property line in terms of foot candles. What I can tell you is that the brightness controls on these are all in the nits, which is controls the actual brightness of the LEDs. So we're able to toggle it based on, again, fine tuning as to what we feel is the most effective brightness level, because actually too bright is actually counter readable. So that's something that I work and have access to, and I'm able to make those adjustments. Pretty good example of a sign that I feel that it would have a similar appearance and quality and brightness level is First National Bank's marquee sign on the corner of Michigan and Rose Park, one of those two. That is of the same brand, same manufacturer, same brightness level. Much larger than this, but pretty close in terms of size. So the city of Kalamazoo has a means by which to enforce those things if they want to. What I find most offensive, quite frankly, are the people that put the LEDs in their windows. Oftentimes they're convenience stores, for example. And those are actually lighting products for inside of signs that they put on windows. So there's a business not too far from this that actually does that. The light output for something like this is generally content driven in terms of how the intensity. So dark backgrounds, warmer colors versus bright whites certainly view differently in evening hours, for example, than they do the more muted tones. So if you've looked at any of their social media, this is again going to be an extension of their social media, you would see that most of their design intent is pretty similar to like what I've placed on the sign itself. It's a fairly warm, inviting, low-key form of reach and touch. Hope that makes sense. It's tough. I just want you to understand that there's such a huge range in terms of quality of these, and if you're driven by capital dollars, then you're going to program a sign differently. You're going to have its brightness levels differently than an institution like the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, and what their real purpose, what their reach is, who they're trying to talk to, who they're trying to draw in.
One of the issues that we experienced before we went, or part of our rebranding process was actually, we did a lot of community polling. We contracted with a firm throughout Kalamazoo County, not just the city, but every single municipality that we represent. And a lot of people had no clue who we were. And so of course we work with nonprofits. We're coming up on our centennial, and with that rebrand, I reached out to Steve to look at some solutions. And so yes, I know it's digital. It may not be as exciting, with the aesthetic of the building, but it really does fit what we're trying to accomplish. And number one, making sure people know all of the resources that are available. Now, I'm a Kalamazoo native. I've driven by that building thousands of times and just had no clue.
Oh, really?
We've been in that building since 2013. I joined the foundation a year ago as our senior brand and content marketing officer. I've recently transitioned to a program officer, but this project is my baby that I started. But when I was going through my interviewing process, I had a conversation. I had an organization that served young people, and even apologized in my interviewing because I had no idea that the resources at the foundation were available to help move that forward. So I think this checks a lot of boxes for us in the work that we're trying to do. Our CEO, our leadership team, as well as our board, they all are excited about potentially moving forward with this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application, as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10.
Thank you, James.
Seconded.
Thank you, Christy. Can I have a roll call?
Katie,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
Awesome. So both of your guys went forward, so I'll be in touch with Sign Art folks, and then I can also communicate with you as well if you'd like, and I'll make sure I get all my reviews done by the end of this week. So thank you guys for presenting and coming in. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and this brings us to 1552 Academy.
I saw you scroll past those. I'm glad you have them. I'm Chad Becker from Tiger Solar. I've done a few jobs in your jurisdiction over the last 5 years. I guess the previous part of this was one of them. This is really just the addition of those 6 panels you see on the southernmost end there, and a battery, but the battery's going in the basement at this point. So yeah, let me know what questions you might have. But as the other photos I think that I saw scroll past, the showcases that you'd have to stand truly like in the middle of the street and really be looking to even be able to see that roof from any reasonable public-facing sector or spot. So I think I saw some photos in there. Yep. So the roof, like that roof way up there, like we had to go that far away just to kind of see that, because if you're standing in the lower section on that closer sidewalk, you can't even see that roof from down that low. So it seems pretty unobtrusive. So.
Yeah, I drove by and you can't. It would be difficult to see it at all.
Crazy part of the street there too, because that's right in that swoop of Academy where it's starting to come around.
Right, yeah. You don't want to be looking up.
Yeah, right. Awesome.
Any questions from commissioners?
I was going to say, if you let 911 Park Street go through, this is no brainer.
I guess the only question that I have from a plan review standpoint when I'm looking at these is, and I took it at face value, and it probably was face value, like, would you guys indicate to us if there's going to be a pitch on the solar panels when you're putting them on there generally?
By all means. I definitely probably should have gotten them to submit. We have this, it'll just be like the normal standard rail system where it's 5 inches off.
And you put it in, and I was like, I'm guessing that this means they're going to be completely perpendicular, but I just wanted to double check for my own naivete. So that's a big thing that I always look at too when we're doing these. You see some horror stories that the feds publish that show like either these put at like a 45-degree angle on some roofs, which I mean, some places, sure, that probably makes sense. But there's one that the feds published where they built an addition out of the roof of the house that went up another like 10 feet, and then they mounted the panel on top of that, which was
hopefully
really
we're
crazy.
Seeing less and less of that over time. It was just people Wild Westing it 10 years ago is where a lot of those stories come from.
Okay,
so yeah.
gotcha. Sweet, that was the only question I had, so I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I move to approve a certificate of appropriateness for the work as described in the application as it complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 2, 9, and 10.
Thank you, Katie.
Seconded.
Thank you, Christy. Can I have a roll call?
Katie?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sweet. So it carries, and again, I'll be in touch with you by the end of the week, and then I'm sure that you've already, it seems like the permit's already been applied for the other stuff. So we will get, or I'll get moving on that stuff, and we'll get you moved along. So
Awesome. Thanks,
thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Wow, it's my turn already. Can't believe that.
Okay, how about, you want to talk to us about the coordinator's report?
Yep. So there's probably one that stands out, and it was the removal of this chimney on Elm Street.
It did.
That one, to me, I just had to make a call, I guess, and where it was coming out of the roof was like, if you ate an apple, like the center of the core, it was that far eaten away, and I did not want it to fall on the house, I guess, was my big thing. You could not see it from the street. You had to move around to be able to see it, and it was not like a high-style example. There was nothing venting out of it anymore, which is not necessarily a you guys' concern, but it's something that concerns me dearly because you need to make sure you have venting out of a house. So I guess, kind of made the audible to say, like, the safety's going to come first on this one. If it was a big grand one, then it would have been a different story, but that was not the case here. The rest of these are pretty straightforward ones. 503 Southwest Nidge is a really interesting, and we'll kind of see.
It's the porch, right?
We'll see what happens with that. That's right across the street, south of the credit union that's on Southwest Nidge, at Cedar and Southwest Nidge. And that side porch has taken a beating. And that got coated in vinyl, prior to when the historic district came in. And I think that it might be hiding a lot of things, but they have been like, we're just going to rebuild it. If we get down underneath it and we see more stuff that we're going to have to address, then we'll be in touch. So I was like, Godspeed to you. And I hope it's not a small porch, I'll say. It's an extensive. And I guess I just kind of while we're talking about them, 628 South Rose was a really mindful door replacement as well, where the applicant went to a pretty nice, it seems like custom door maker, or maybe not custom, but it was like someone that specializes in making doors, a larger firm, and the new door that's going to go in there, it's a side door, and I feel like it was like really bang up job of matching what was there previously, so I respect that big time. 60 cases so far total this year, which seems crazy. I guess we're over halfway through with the year, but 12 have come to you guys. So, I mean, we've been busy this year, I think, for sure. This is probably kind of a reprieve. Like I said, last month's was chocked full of fun, and there were just big cases on last month's agenda for sure. I didn't have it on here, but if people are curious, please let me know. The HPC has been partnering with the Friends of Kalamazoo Historic Cemeteries. I think that's it. Sometimes I interpolate I get the two middle letters mixed up, so it might be Friends of Historic Kalamazoo Cemeteries. I don't know. We have been partnering with them for a long time for a number of reasons, but the main one is they just had so much more reach and so much more capacity to be able to organize these gravestone cleanings. So if people are ever interested in going to those, let me know, and I can share the list of events that they have. It's also on the Historic Preservation Commission's, I think. I'll check. Either way, those are great events to be able to go and learn about preservation that people aren't thinking about. So this is like a great example of learning about the preservation of masonry, ways to clean and not to clean masonry. It's a great way to bring people into the fold of preservation for a number of reasons. People really like cemeteries, I think, because they're really cool. People really like the instant gratification that you get from cleaning these stones too, because there have been some that I've gone to where they are either black or green. Certainly a lesser shade of black or green, but sometimes they even get to gray and you're getting back to the stone. And it's just a great way, I think, to be able to, some of these were the founding families of Kalamazoo, and that doesn't matter as much as it's respecting the sanctity of life, right? So if someone doesn't have a family member around anymore to look after these stones, it might be a nice way to say like, hey, we still recognize that you did inhabit this space at one point, and we're not completely forgetting about you, and we're coming out to look at them. There are safety concerns, and Gary Swain, who's the head of that program, will talk you through all those things as you get out there and start to do it. And there are wrong ways to clean these too, so he teaches you the right ways to do them. You don't want to, the biggest mistake you can have is like starting at the top and then working your way down because you can get streaking. You need to start at the bottom and then make sure you're keeping the whole stone wet. So you never have it where there's just water coming down over dry stone. So all those things are things that you'll learn about, and again, it's just a great time. You can go for as long or as little as you want. He has all the materials for you to go out and do the cleanings, and then usually they pick a section, so they're moving through. Gary is one of those individuals who's very dedicated to preservation, but I think this is a niche one that people forget about. He's also very involved with getting veteran soldiers' headstones from the Veterans Affairs Office for folks who do not have either graves or heads, like maybe they're unmarked, and if you can find where they are and you can verify that they were a soldier, they'll buy a headstone and bring it to the cemetery. So a lot of cool stuff there. I guess just a couple more things that I didn't put on. I don't mean to, we're running really good time right now, I can't lie. So we had the reinterment of the remains that were found in Southwest Edge Park on the 30th of June. The Daughters of the American Revolution were out there, as were the Boy Scouts, to kind of assist with pallbearing. Interesting ceremony where they had an Episcopal minister come out and deliver last rites in the vernacular of the middle 1800s. So a lot of yeet, bows, and shouts, but it was really nice, and we were able to get those remains back in the ground again while we're speaking of the human sanctity piece. That was really cool, and it was a long time coming, and I think it was a great example of all these folks coming together to do. This was a joint effort. Once we found these remains, I was on the phone, that day, and that day I was able to get in touch with I think the head archaeologist at SHPO, and if not the head, one of the archaeologists at SHPO. TIPO, so a Tribal Historic Preservation Office archaeologist from the Gun Lake Tribe, an MDOT archaeologist, Federal Highway Administration, and the Medical Examiner's Office. All those folks really came together to help us to make sure that the project kept moving forward when we uncovered this. So can't say thanks enough to all those folks who worked through this process with the city of Kalamazoo to not only make sure that that project, the lead replacement stuff got finished, but also to make sure that these remains were respected and they were laid to rest. So it's quite a journey because that happened last year, but these things I think take a lot of time. And this was, this is the first and hopefully the only time that I ever encountered that in my career. So it was quite a trip for sure. Happy to entertain any questions that folks may have.
The cemetery portion, is that family friendly or is it just members that are like actively participating in the historic preservation and historic district?
You can bring whoever you'd like. I mean, leaving it up to folks to be respectful, right? There are some chemicals that are being used, so when we talk about kids, some people are like, oh, I don't want to bring my kids. A lot of these you can clean just with water, too, is a big thing. You don't need to use the chemicals. We use a chemical called D2, which I don't even know what to compare it to, but the alternative to that is a product called Orbis, which is like a horse shampoo, but you can dilute it enough and put it into bottles, and it's so gentle that it does a good job of cleaning those stones. So yeah, anyone is welcome to attend. I would just say, I would encourage that you go out with the Friends of the Historic Kalamazoo Cemeteries. Sorry, Gary, if you're watching at home, that I keep getting the acronym wrong, but they just teach you so much,
Right.
and I know I would freak out if I messed up cleaning one of those. Sure. And then some of the safety things too, never touching a stone that's moving. We're not trying to pick up and reset stones. We're just going to address the ones that are standing, not only the ones that are standing, but we're not trying to right any of the wrongs necessarily. We're just going out there to clean up stuff and helps immerse yourself a little bit in that history as well. So it's really neat.
Thank you. All right, if that's all, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?